want to welcome you to the redox core curriculum at the redox.com website. I'm Dr. Ward, and I want to share with you some ideas about the fact that diabetes is a redox illness. So it sounds like a different kind of concept, but let me make my case. First of all, a little background. We're watching a decline in the health of industrialized countries. And this decline has occurred over the past 25 to 30 years. This decline has included several degenerative diseases, including high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, as well as diabetes. Diabetes has probably led the way in the greatest jump, and we've seen an increase in the incidence by as much as 20% in the adult population in just 20, 30 years. It's like an epidemic of a chronic illness. It's a concept that we never even discussed when I was in medical training in the 70s. So we've tried to respond to this with early detection, early treatment, getting people the proper medications, but it hasn't changed anything. And so my suggestion is that underneath the surface of this disease is an imbalance that is leading to the disease. And if we can correct that, we've got a way to not only help with the condition of diabetes, but also prevent its emergence by getting to the core metabolic breakdowns. So, what is the fundamental problem behind this condition? It boils down to three things. First, mitochondrial breakdown. Now, the mitochondria produce energy for our cells. And if there's a breakdown in their ability to function, they're not going to be producing redox molecules. They're not going to be producing energy. And the cell's going to get sluggish. It's not going to be able to do its work. So let's suppose it's an insulin-producing cell, the beta cell in the pancreas. It's not going to it's not going to do its work. It's not going to produce the insulin. Let's suppose it's a receptor cell in a muscle. It's not going to be able to accept the signal of insulin to allow sugar to come in the cell. So all these cells start to get sluggish because of mitochondrial breakdown. Insulin resistance is a key factor in the emergence of the disease diabetes as well. And it has to do with antibodies that position themselves on the receptor site in our tissues, the target tissues for insulin, which is our liver and our muscles primarily. With that antibody blocking the receptor, the insulin comes by and it can't hook up to the receptor. And it's like a key that can't find the lock. So what happens then is food can't get to the cell. Insulin helps the food, the sugars, to get into the cells so that they can function and live. So the cell becomes starved. What put that receptor blocker there? A confused immune system that's out of balance in some way or manner. So insulin is not reaching the tissue, and redox signaling molecules are required at every step as we try to get these target organs activated. So at the core of this is usually obesity. And obesity in our country has occurred mainly because we've been eating lots of processed foods that are high in carbohydrates. In response to the desire to have low-fat foods, we've substituted more sugar into the foods that are packaged. We've gained weight. We've gained weight by consuming sugared beverages like pop that's full of corn syrup that our body doesn't really know how to process. So as we gain weight, we raise the amount of fatty tissues in our body, which creates an oxidative stress burden. This oxidative stress burden disrupts all the messaging that's going on in the body. And so it leads to this condition that is sort of a pre-diabetic state, or the metabolic syndrome, where we've got an increase in blood pressure, an increase in lipids, extra weight, and insulin resistance. So what can we do? What kind of solutions can we find? Many people who are stuck in this spot have no energy. They've got mitochondrial breakdown. Their cells are worn out, and so are they. And so getting to the core physiological mechanisms would be critical in making a real difference in solving the underpinning of what's leading to this epidemic. So back to the core mechanisms. Every one of these mechanisms that I've described, at their heart, at the beginning, upstream, is the presence or absence of the balance of redox molecules in the tissues. When they're present, cells have the resources they need to have to carry out their normal physiology. So an antioxidant that's trying to block the aging effect of a free radical on the lining of a blood vessel that's leading to high blood pressure, that antioxidant molecule cannot take out a free radical unless it has another charged particle, a redox molecule, right nearby to couple with that to neutralize it. So if we can provide resources to the body to correct some of these deep issues in our physiology, we can start to see a shift in improved energy for ourselves, to unlock some of those antibodies from the target tissues and really allow a gradual restoration of balance. When people have more energy and better sleep, they can go ahead and exercise. They're not craving carbs to find a little smidgen of energy as they go out throughout their day. So they're not going to be taking in excess calories that just is fuel to the fire. So correcting those underlying issues is pivotal. And I have witnessed when we provide this resource of redox molecules, it unlocks our cellular potential to heal. And that is a really wonderful sight to behold. I hope this helped you understand the concept of how redox molecules are at the core of some of the imbalances that happen as our bodies get out of balance physiologically. And when we provide a little bit of a resource, it can open the door for healing. Thanks for visiting, and come back to the Redox Core curriculum.